Today I just wanted to show an example of a breeding fish for profit tank that I have. Kind of doing a series of showing different examples, different setups, different stocking of breeding fish for profit tanks. Maybe give somebody some ideas and kind of just show what I'm doing. So this tank is a 40-gallon breeder, and I have the 24 karat gold guppies in here. I also have a breeding pair of lemon blue-eyed Bristlenose Plecos. That's my big breeder female right there, with all different sized fry around her. And we've got the male in the cave right there. You can also see in this tank that we have lots of cherry shrimp and assassin snails. So all those fish and shrimp and snails do really well selling both online and in store. You know, stores typically want nice cherry shrimp. The assassin snails are always in high demand. I don't have any issues with the assassin snails and cherry shrimp. You know, they don't eat one another, which is, you know, some people have said that they do, but in my experience I have a ton of both and I don't see anyone eating the other. I have some Rapashi community blend there just to get everybody out. You can see I picked out this, what looks like I think a male, and that one a female as future breeders. And the rest are, you know, growing out in here. The plants in here, we have water sprite in the back here. That's cover for newborn guppies, that where most of my fry are right now. I have Crypt When Deadeye Bronze right here, and Willow High Grow on the right side. The substrate in here is Eco Complete, and the rocks I have in here are Cirro Stone. And the light I have is just one that I bought on eBay that I use for my entire fish room. The filtration for this tank is just 2 sponge filters. I use the Hydro 4 Pro sponge filters. You can see one in the back there, and the other one is hidden behind the water sprite there. And that's all I need for this tank. It seems to handle the bioload, even though it is a very heavy bioload, probably because I do frequent water changes. That definitely helps out, but that's all I need for this tank. So the maintenance for this tank, it is on my auto water change system and gets about 15% every other day. What I feed in here are mostly these fluval bug bites, the small fish formula. These are great for the guppies, and any that they miss, the plecos and shrimp will eat. And then also for the shrimp, I throw in some of this Shrimp King food. I try to throw it in the back where none of the other fish will pick at it, and try to make it that only the shrimp get that. But this tank is really fun. It's one of my favorites in the fish room. You know, you can stare at this tank for a while and always see something new. Like there's a ton of cherry shrimp in the water sprite over here. It doesn't look like there's a lot in here, but I could just keep scooping out cherry shrimp, and there's a ton of cherry shrimp in here. Something else you could do to maximize the profit in this tank would be, like these plants I picked because I like the way they look. And the water sprite also happens to create a lot of cover for the newborn guppies. But you could put plants in here that, you know, are more profitable. Java moss would be a good one. Something that people always want is Java moss. Another thing I did have in this tank, but it was affecting my enjoyment because I couldn't really see the fish as much, was frog bit, which is a floating plant here. I actually have it in this tank. So it actually was covering most of the 40-gallon breeder, but I switched it over to this tank. You can see I have a ton of it, and I just can't seem to stop selling it on eBay. You know, but it does cover the light there. But that would be another way to maximize this tank if I wanted to, make a little bit more profit on the tank. And just threw some bug bites in there. You can see I throw a good amount in here. There are a lot of fish in here and shrimp. And you can see the bug bites that make it down to the bottom. All the plecos are on it, even the big females on it. Even though that there's a nice block of Rapashi right there. So everybody eats that. So it's hard to overfeed this tank. If anything, I have to worry about underfeeding this tank because of the plecos, making sure that they get enough food. So you have to balance the feeding with the water changing. So with the Plecos in this tank, we don't really have to worry about them eating their fry. You can see we have all different sizes here. We have, like a newborn that just came out of the cave right there, and maybe the generation right before that. And we have the biggest Pleco in this tank, the big breeder female right there, and she's not picking on any of those fry or anything. We don't have to worry about the guppies eating them either. But something sometimes is a concern, something you have to think about, is the guppies eating their own fry. Some strains will do this more than others. This strain loves eating their fry. So I do have extra tank space, so I do put a female in a separate tank when I think she's about to drop to help save those fry. You can also do different methods. I'll show you in another tank when I don't have the room. We have this tank here with my Japan blue gold double sword guppies that I did a previous video on. I found a method that I like better is this hang-on breeder box here. So you can see we have fry in there that were born. They're ready to come out at this point, but anytime I see a female that I think is ready to drop, like that big female right there, I think she's gonna drop soon. So I'll just swap out the fry in here that are big enough that can handle themselves in the tank here, and I'll put that breeder female in there until she drops the fry, and the fry are mostly safe in there. And then they grow up until I think that they're strong enough to fend for themselves in this tank. And you could see that's why I have a lot of guppies in this tank. Method's working pretty well for me. So that's just another example of a breeding fish for profit tank. Obviously you could pick any guppy that you want, any bristlenose pleco that you wanted, any colored shrimp that you wanted. They all work really well together. And I would say the most important thing about your breeding fish for profit tank is that you enjoy what you're keeping and you're not just doing it for the profit, because I find that as long as you enjoy it, the profit kind of just comes, and that's just an added bonus. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you in the next one.